Whether you want to cast a deadly spell or catch a predator, I want you to keep your soul because I've sold mine to bring you the very best Diablo cosplay and fan art in this episode of Extra Content. Diablo stands out in my mind as one of the most captivating and exciting gaming experiences of my life. I got busted more than once playing this game instead of taking care of business, but the defiant bleating of dying goat men is still a common expletive at my house to this very day. Seriously, my kid does it. Take a look at the horns on this digital sculpt of the butcher. They act like two fat leeches sort of gnawing away at his head and draining his life essence. He seems pretty spry, but nevertheless. On the other hand, the hooks in the background, they kind of look like unfinished paper clips. Like, they're just, as meat hooks go, I've seen better. Right, this is a 3D print of a digital sculpt of a Diablo bust made for BlizzCon. Viva la unpainted sculpture, you know how much I love it. Here's a different sculpt, this time with paint. This is a cool piece, but you can see how much focus is pulled from the form when you add the color. And if it's not done perfectly, you just lose so much. While I know it's not the same character, this sculpture just makes me think, don't worry, we won't hurt you. Money Monk here gets a ton of extra details. The beard, the beads, the hideous freaking eyeball on his head. It'd be sweet for cheating on tests though. You could just write your answers on the inside of your hoodie. Okay, this fella, 123 Samo, is dedicated to Diablo fan figures. The barbarian design cracks me up though. Not his sculpture, but the design. I may be wearing a 71-pound naval guard, but I'll be damned if I protect my chest in any way. His armor looks like that stuff could have been broken off of a church and lashed together. It's a great figure. The monk's skin is painted so well, it almost looks real. It makes me wonder if the artist used nude-colored Sculpey and then just tinted it with little translucent dyes, which is a trick you can use for figures when you're painting miniatures and that kind of thing. Anyway, the only thing that bothers me is it looks like the beads are sitting really lightly, like they're not very substantial. Although the sculpted cloth on the outstretched cape, that's a really cool touch. Damn. This one has some swagger. Yeah, brah, I totally stole the top of Saruman's sweet mace. I'm gonna make it into a bitchin' bass guitar, I'm bummed that the witch doctor's feet aren't flush with the board here, but maybe it's just a temporary mounting. The details really sell this one. Between the fetish doll and the feathers and the horns, it's a rich package. There's more figure sculpts from 123 Samo on Extra Content Overtime, but now on to illustration. Diablo fan artists do not hold back. Here, the barbarian is applying for a loan application to open a butcher shop. His helmet is another example of great horns too. They're almost knife-like. In fact, I think they're knives. Anyway, check out the guy on the left over here. Hi, boss. The rain is a wonderful touch, and I think you can see tendrils of steam rising from the witch doctor's glowing horn tips. That's an awesome detail. Okay, question time. Do you guys think that when a necromancer raises zombies and stuff, they stink, or could you build a deodorizing aspect to the spell, like into it? How would you set it up? Maybe the smell would be an advantage. Oh, there's more bare-chested glory here, and a slightly different version of the WWF Navel and Crotch Defender. This is one of those images that you can really sink your eyeballs into. Take a look at the dude on the lower left. He's already split open. His face is looking like, hey. Finally, here's a recording of yet another barbarian coming to life. It's so satisfying to see the artist's journey in these time-lapse paintings. I think there's a lot you can learn as an artist by watching these. Shoes have become a staple of the show now. Tyrael is an ambitious subject, but Extra Content demands nothing less. These nails seem destined to accompany those shoes. I mean, the colors line right up. I think that you wouldn't want to try to tie shoes like this with nails like that. You stick with the slip-ons. I'm just gonna go ahead and get a pair with Diablo on both sides because it sort of matches my conscience situation a little bit better. I can't quite tell from this picture, but it looks like the artist used the stem as a horn. And if so, bravo, sir. Ooh, runes. I always think about making stuff like this. I also want to throw the bones every now and then, but that's different. I was just thinking, what if you could socket things in real life? Could I upgrade my Honda? That'd be kind of sweet. Like, what would you socket if you could socket things? Let me know. Wow, the accessories on this costume are impressively elaborate. You could probably buy a deli for the cost of the materials alone, and then you'd have a lot of delicious meat. So something to consider. By the way, the cosplay for all these costume details can be seen on extra content overtime. I've just realized this is a little confusing, but this is a different wizard cosplay from Diablo by Akko Redfield. The detail in the crown, the layering of the robes, look at the colors on that thing. It's like cosplay phyllo dough. I want some baklava. The colors are absolutely making this one for me. The costume brings out all of the crisp discipline you'd expect from the character. Although I would assume that Master Fu would break your arm for having one elbow lower than the other. Oh my god, her headdress looks like a bunch of those erotic shadow puppet toy things sewn together, and I don't mean that as an insult. The dress is gorgeously detailed and filled with subtle black on black details. It's beautiful. Also, I can't quite look at her without hearing Lenny say, "Dental plan." Ha ha ha. Excellent backdrops. How I love thee. It's a little weird to see a Diablo character at head level, and stranger still to see a quiet moment of stalking, but both of those factors bring the image to life that much more. Lilia Lemoyne and Fernando Bruschetto return with their take on the Demon Hunter armor. Lilia is dedicated to the art of cosplay, and she makes all of this gear herself. That said, I think Chris Yao takes the crown because not only did she shoot on a great backdrop, but she also captured those signature Diablo 3 colors. And for me, that's the trifecta. The beautiful costume implied, of course. Them horns, those guns, that limited visibility. Seriously, what is it about helmets you couldn't possibly see anything out of? Anyway, stunning costume on the only sensible backdrop when you don't have a thematically appropriate one on hand. Please, no more pictures in front of grandma's doily duvet. Imagine standing behind this guy at a con though. He needs like a 5-foot radius at all times, or somebody is gonna lose an eye. I've seen a lot of cumbersome cosplay, but I wanna meet the cosplayer that would or even could go to a con in something like this. Interestingly, it looks like the legs might have sort of an inflatable component the way they're stretching, but I kinda doubt it. It doesn't feel right. Degwerity, if you see this, drop us some info in the comments or email me or something. I gotta know. There's a ton more extra content, but first, links in the description, like if you saw something awesome, and subscribe for more. Best cosplay pick of the whole show, right here. And disturbingly sexy. I need to get back into therapy. Click the overtime button to continue watching the show right now. You're gonna see my private reserve of Diablo cosplay and fan art on extra content overtime. Decided to skip overtime? No worries. There's still plenty more extra content to enjoy. Extra content has more episodes than a lady llama has teats. To see if I've covered your favorite game, click the left box for the full playlist. And if you want to get straight to the action, watch the other episode